Hello everybody, in this video we are going to continue working on linear inequalities, but we're going to be writing and solving them. Alright, in past videos we've just been solving, but now we gotta write some based off, we gotta translate kind of the English sentence into the math sentence. And so I've got a lot of phrases here for each of these symbols which we're going to be dealing with. Alright, so I would recommend that you pause the video and you write each of these down in your notes, and you kind of understand, like if I'm talking about less than, if I see the term fewer than, or smaller than, or lower than, that's all talking about the same symbol, which is less than. All right, so the first four deal with your inequality symbols, and the last four deal with your operations, adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. Okay, so pause the video right here, and then we'll go on. Turn my brightness. All right, so now that we've got those phrases, let's use that. Let's translate an English sentence into a math sentence. So the product of 4 and a number is less than 12. All right, so the product, which means multiplication, of 4 and a number, so I'm going to call that number x, is less than 12. So this is going to look like 4 times x is less than 12. So if I were to solve this, I would divide both sides by 4. And I would get x is less than 3. So if I were to graph that, I'm going to start at 3, and shade off to the left. Okay, so moving forward, that's how that one works. Moving forward to part B, we get the sum. So we see that keyword sum. We look at our chart, or we know that that's talking about addition of -10 and 4 times a number. So it's going to look like 4x is no more than -18. Okay, is no more. So let's think about that. Is no more. It means it cannot be bigger than -18. All right, so it has to be less than or equal to -18. So the sum of -10 and 4 times a number is less than or equal to -18. All right, let's see if no more made our chart up here. Yep, no more right here. Let's talk about less than or equal to. So, going down, let's translate this. We've got the sum of -10 and 4 times a number, so -10 plus 4x is less than or equal to -18. So if I'm going to solve this, I add 10 to both sides. So I get 4x is less than or equal to -8. Divide both sides by 4, I get x is less than or equal to -2. Okay, so I'm going to do a solid dot at -2 and shade off to the left. All right, moving on to C. Here we got a word problem, like an application problem. So your school wants to collect at least 5,000 pounds of food for a food drive. So we see this key phrase, at least. Write and graph an inequality to describe the amount of food that your school hopes to collect. All right, so they want to collect at least 5,000, which means 5,000 is the minimum. 5,000 is the minimum. All right, which means that x, and x represents the amount of food in pounds, must be greater than or equal to 5,000. All right, because 5,000 is the minimum. 5,000 is the least amount that they want to make. They want to make more than 5,000 if possible. All right, so it's going to be a solid at 5,000, shading off to the right. All right, and then let's do another one. Fred started a savings account to save for a car. He saved $600 last month. and plans to add $100 each month until he has saved more than $2,000. Okay, so we got a lot of stuff going on here. We've got the fact that he starts by saving $600. So this is a starting place. And he plans to add $100 each month. So this is a reoccurring rate. All right, so this is going to look like slope-intercept form. Because if this is a starting, this is the b value. And the reoccurring rate, that's going to be the slope. Until he has saved more than 2,000. So it must be greater than 2,000. Write and graph an inequality to describe the number of months he would save for. So M is going to represent the number of months. Excuse me. So we start at 600 plus $100 per month must be greater or more than 2,000. Okay, so there's our inequality. Now, if I were to solve this, I would subtract 600 from both sides. Let me get a different color. So I would get 100m is greater than 1,400, which means that m is greater than 14. All right, so write and describe an inequality to describe the number of months he would have to save for. Well, he would have to save for more than 14 months in order to save more than $2,000. All right, so there we see another type of application problem, that one in slope-intercept form, kind of. We've got a starting place and we've got a reoccurring rate. All right, but we got to be looking for those key phrases which tells us what type of inequality symbol we're dealing with. All right, so let's move on. What if I give you a graph and I ask you to write the inequality for it? So not a word problem here, but we see that we have a solid circle at -5. So that means that we're dealing with either less than or equal to or greater than or equal to because I have equality. And notice how we're shading off to the right, which means that our variable x is getting bigger. All right, so this is going to look like x is greater than or equal to -5. Solid circle at -5, shade off to the right. All right, but part B, we have two inequalities here facing opposite directions. So if you remember, this is a compound inequality because I have two inequalities on the same graph here. All right, and since they're facing away from each other, this is going to be an OR situation. So this first inequality is looking like x is less than or equal to -6, because I start at -6, fill in that circle, and I shade off to the left, so I'm getting smaller. So x is less than or equal to -6, or this inequality to the right, I start at 4 with an open circle, and I shade off to the right, so my values are getting bigger. So x is less than or equal to -6, or x is greater than 4. And there we go with there. Okay? So I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to tune into a next video, just kind of give yourself a break. But in the next video, we'll go over the application problem, and then we should be good to go.